My name is Maria, and I am 28 years old. I learned that some people value likes more than love on a Thursday night, sitting on our couch, watching my boyfriend film a story in the bedroom while my phone showed me the proof that I'd already been erased. His ring lights were still on, casting long, white shadows across the wall, and I could hear him laughing softly to himself as he replayed a clip, adjusting angles, trimming seconds. I opened Instagram without thinking and felt my stomach drop. Relationship status changed. Single. Every photo of us gone. 2 years wiped clean like we never existed. I didn't say anything at first. I scrolled slowly, deliberately, like maybe I'd misunderstood. Solo photos, thirst traps, captions about independence and living his best single life. Posted 4 hours ago while I was at work, while I was picking up his favorite takeout for dinner, while I thought we were fine. I sat there in silence, the couch cushion dipping under my weight, listening to him talk to his phone like it was a person who mattered more than the one in the next room. When he finally came out, phone still in hand, he smiled at me the way he always did when he thought everything was under control. He told me the story he'd just posted was going to do great, that the new filter really worked, that engagement was already up. I asked him why his Instagram said he was single. He didn't look surprised. He sat on the arm of the couch, already scrolling through comments, and said it casually, like it was nothing personal. Relax. Online, I'm basically single. It gets me more engagement. I stared at him, really stared at him, at the man who could erase our relationship with a few taps and explain it away as strategy while sitting in the apartment we shared. I asked why all our photos were gone. He said he archived them, that they were still there, just not public. Brands like Single Creators, he explained. It's more relatable, more aspirational. Girls want to be me. Guys want to date me. That's the formula. Couple content limits growth. Limits growth, like I was a bad metric. He leaned over and kissed my forehead, distracted, already thinking about his next post. He told me not to take it personally, that this was just business, that in real life we were fine. But real life felt very small in that moment, reduced to something private and inconvenient, something to be hidden so his online life could look better. His phone kept buzzing with messages, DMs from people who thought he was available, brand reps praising his single energy, invitations to influencer events he'd attend alone. I watched him respond with winky faces and thank yous, watched him step fully into a version of himself that didn't include me. And I realized something quietly, without anger or tears. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg him to choose me publicly. I was just going to help him commit fully to the story he'd already told the world. While he went back into the bedroom to edit another clip about his amazing single life, I opened my screenshots folder and started saving everything. When he moved in with me 8 months earlier, he had 3,000 followers and a lot of confidence. He worked retail during the day and created content at night, filming transitions in our tiny living room, practicing poses, talking to himself like the camera was a person who understood him. I believed in it. I set up his ring lights, held the phone when he needed certain angles, stayed quiet when he needed silence to record. He told me this was going to work, that once he hit 10,000 followers, the sponsorships would start. I told him I believed him because I did. At first, I was part of the story. Couple photos, date night shots, soft captions about balance and love. His followers liked us together. But somewhere around 7,000 followers, things shifted. He asked me to take down a photo from his sister's wedding because it wasn't performing well. We looked happy in it, genuinely happy, but he stared at the analytics like they were a verdict. The single creator content does better, he said. Look at these fitness influencers. They're all single or they don't show their relationships. It's more aspirational. I watched him delete 6 months of our life and told myself it was just strategy. The line between online and real life blurred faster after that. Dates were scheduled around golden hour. Restaurants were chosen for lighting, not food. He asked me to wait before eating so he could get the shot, then asked me to move out of frame entirely because the plate looked better solo. Solo became his favorite word. I told myself I was being supportive, that this was temporary, that real life mattered more than Instagram. But real life started shrinking. He stopped posting me entirely. When people asked in comments if he had a girlfriend, he liked the comment but didn't answer. His captions changed. Independent, focused, single mindset. I noticed how easily he stepped into it, how natural it seemed for him to present a version of himself that didn't include me. When I asked if it bothered him that people thought he was available, he shrugged and said it was good for engagement. The night I asked if I was his secret, he laughed and told me I was being dramatic. He said Instagram wasn't real life, that I was overthinking it. But his phone buzzed constantly with DMs from people who thought he was single, from brands who wanted to work with a creator who embodied authentic single energy. I watched him respond to them, watched him thank them for reaching out, watched him agree to meetings that required him to show up alone. He told me it was temporary. Once he hit 20,000 followers, he said he could pivot to whatever content he wanted. Couples, lifestyle, anything. He just needed to get there first. I realized then that there was always going to be a next number, a next milestone that justified keeping me invisible. That Thursday night, when he said, "Relax, online I'm basically single," something in me finally settled. I understood what I was to him. Not a partner, not a future, a liability, something that complicated the image he wanted to sell. So while he talked about algorithms and engagement and brand deals, I started planning quietly. Not revenge, not a scene, just an exit. If he wanted to be single online, I wasn't going to fight him. I was going to make sure the story matched everywhere else too. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was angry, but because my mind kept replaying small moments I'd brushed aside for months. The way he'd angled the camera so I wouldn't be in frame. The way he'd introduced me less and less at events, calling me a friend, or skipping names altogether. It all lined up now, clean and uncomfortable. By morning, I wasn't hurt anymore. I was clear. Friday morning, he left for his retail shift like nothing had changed. He kissed my cheek, told me he'd be late because he had a brand call afterward, and asked if I could tidy the living room because he wanted to film later. I nodded, waited until the door closed, and called in sick to work. Food poisoning, I said. It wasn't entirely a lie. I felt nauseous watching my relationship get managed like a marketing risk. I started with my phone, screenshots of everything. His Instagram bio, no relationship mentioned. Status set to single. Post captioned, independent and loving it. Single girl energy, living my best life. Stories thanking brands for reaching out to a single creator with authentic engagement. DMs left open on our shared iPad. Messages from brand reps praising his availability, flirting disguised as business interest. His replies were polite, enthusiastic, never correcting the assumption that he was unattached. More screenshots, dates, times, his words. I organized it all into a folder, labeled and clean. Not to send to anyone, just to remind myself that I wasn't imagining this. Then I started packing. Not dramatically, not angrily, methodically. My clothes first, folded into boxes. My book separated from his influencer guides and aesthetic coffee table decor. My kitchen things pulled from cabinets filled with mugs chosen for how they looked on camera, not how they felt in your hands. I left his ring lights exactly where they were, his backdrop, his carefully curated filming corner. I wasn't trying to erase him. I was removing myself. I called my friend Jason, asked if his spare room was still available. He didn't ask questions. He just said yes. Friday night, I packed more while he filmed in the bedroom, narrating a routine about his amazing single evening, the glow of his light spilling into the hallway. I told him I was organizing for spring cleaning. He barely looked up. His audience mattered more. Saturday morning, he left early for a brand meeting downtown, followed by lunch with his agent and a content shoot at a cafe chosen for its lighting. Perfect timing. I loaded my car in quiet trips carrying everything that mattered. Photos, clothes, my laptop, the pieces of my life that didn't belong to his narrative. Furniture could wait. Sunday, he had an influencer brunch, more networking, more single energy. I made my final trip then. When I was done, the apartment felt hollow. Not sad, just empty in the way a stage looks after the actors leave. I stood in the living room one last time, took my keys and access card and placed them neatly on the kitchen counter. White marble, clean lines. I pulled out my phone and took a photo. No filters, no drama, just the truth sitting in plain sight. I posted it to my Instagram, tagged the location, and wrote one line. "You're officially single everywhere now." Then I blocked him on everything and drove to Jason's place. I didn't look back. He came home Sunday night around 7. I know because Jason lived 3 floors down in the same building and heard the heels clicking in the hallway. The laugh on the phone about partnership deals and follower growth. The confidence that comes with believing the story is still under your control. Then the door opened. Then silence. then my name echoing down the hall like it might pull me back into the room. I didn't hear it myself. My phone was already off. Jason did. He called me and asked what he should do because my boyfriend was calling him over and over, leaving voicemails that went from confused to angry to panicked in less than 10 minutes. I told him to let it ring. By the time he realized I wasn't coming back, my post had already started moving. Not influencer viral, not the kind you plan for. The other kind. Screenshots shared in group chats. Reposted on Twitter with captions about boundaries and self-respect. TikTok videos stitching the image of keys on the counter and asking why people think it's okay to hide someone they claim to love. People pulled receipts without me saying a word. His single status from weeks earlier, archived couple photos, DMs thanking brands for reaching out to him as a single creator. The narrative he'd built so carefully collapsed under the weight of his own documentation. He tried to control it, posted a story about having a hard day and people overreacting to business decisions, sending love to anyone dealing with unnecessary drama. The comments turned. People asked why business required lying about your relationship, why authenticity meant erasing someone you lived with, why transparency showed up only when it benefited him. He deleted the story. It reappeared in screenshots anyway. Brands noticed. The fitness supplement company that had booked him for single wellness content pulled out quietly on Thursday with a statement about moving forward with creators who demonstrate authentic transparency. The words stung because they were the same ones he'd used to justify hiding me. A clothing brand followed, then a coffee subscription service, professional emails, polite language, final decisions. His follower count didn't drop all at once. It leaked. A steady trickle of people unfollowing when the illusion cracked. He showed up at Jason's building Tuesday night and buzzed the apartment from the lobby. He said my name like it could unlock the door. Jason told him I wasn't there. He said he'd seen my car. Jason said maybe I didn't want to talk to him. He said it was insane, that it was just Instagram, just content strategy, that he loved me. Jason told him maybe he should have loved me on Instagram too. The line landed harder than any argument would have. He called my mother on Wednesday. She'd welcomed him into our home, cooked for him, listened patiently to his influencer plans. He told her he made a mistake, that he thought online and offline were separate, that he thought I understood it was just business. She told him something simple and immovable. If you weren't proud to claim my daughter publicly, you didn't deserve her privately. He went quiet after that. The post kept growing without me touching it. People shared their own stories of being hidden, archived, kept off feeds while partners collected attention elsewhere. I didn't comment. I didn't explain. The keys on the counter did enough talking. Friends I hadn't heard from in months reached out to say they were proud of me. Coworkers admitted they'd noticed me disappear from his content and wondered why. My brother commented one line that made me cry when I read it. Proud of you for knowing your worth. By Friday, the influencer brunch invitations dried up. The group chats went quiet. The circle that had rewarded his performance suddenly didn't know where to place him. Authenticity is currency in that world. And once it's questioned, everything slows. He posted an apology video, filtered tears, talking about growth and reflection and pressure. The comments were unforgiving. People said he was sorry he got caught. That reflection wasn't accountability. That hurting someone for engagement wasn't strategy. It was cruelty. He turned comments off. The silence didn't help. I stayed offline. I moved my things into Jason's spare room and let my life get smaller in the best way. I took on freelance work I'd been putting off. I went back to climbing, chalk on my hands, lungs burning in a way that reminded me I was alive. I read books without holding a camera. I cooked meals without waiting for golden hour. I stopped narrating my life and started living it. He posted one last thing that week, a long caption over a photo of the empty living room, ring lights still in the corner. He wrote about chasing the wrong things and losing the person who actually showed up for him. He tagged me. He apologized publicly because that's where he knew how to speak. I saw it only because Jason showed me. Even his remorse had branding. I closed the app and didn't reopen it. The truth had already done its work. The strangest part wasn't watching his world wobble. It was how quickly mine steadied once I stopped performing in it. Jason's spare room was small, mismatched furniture, a window that looked into an alley, but it felt honest. I slept through the night for the first time in months. No buzzing phone, no lighting tests, no planning meals around aesthetics. Just quiet. I didn't check his profiles. I didn't need to. People kept telling me anyway. He lost the apartment because he couldn't afford it alone. Moved his ring lights into his parents' basement. Tried to pivot his content to authenticity and growth, which would have been funny if it hadn't been so sad. The audience he'd trained to consume a fantasy didn't know what to do with a confession. Views dipped, comments dried up, the algorithm moved on. It always does. I started dating again without making it a storyline. I met a man at the climbing gym, someone who asked questions and waited for answers, who didn't pull out his phone mid-conversation. We grabbed coffee after a session and talked about roots and injuries and the dumb fear of falling, even when you're clipped in. He didn't ask to take a picture. He didn't ask my handle. He asked if I wanted to come back Sunday and try a harder wall together. Being seen without being showcased felt like learning a new language. He introduced me to his friends the first night we went out, said my name, said it clearly, like it mattered. When we went to a party, he stayed close without hovering, proud without performing. I didn't realize how much I'd missed that until it was there. A few weeks later, I ran into my ex's sister at a mutual friend's birthday. She apologized without excuses, said she'd told him he was wrong long before any post went viral, said he was trying to figure out who he was without an audience. I wished him well and meant it. The chapter didn't need a villain to close. He emailed me once, not through social media. Old-fashioned email. He wrote about losing the wrong things and learning too late what was real. He said he finally understood that love you hide isn't love at all. I read it twice and didn't reply. Some lessons don't need witnesses. Some apologies are meant to change the person who gives them, not the person who receives them. Months passed. My life filled in with ordinary miracles, groceries bought because I wanted to cook, not because they'd look good on camera, trips taken without posts, arguments settled in real time, not in captions. When people asked what happened, I said the truth without dramatics. We wanted different things. I chose myself. That answer stopped the questions. One evening, my new boyfriend and I cooked dinner and debated whether garlic belonged in everything. He said yes. I said obviously. We laughed. My phone stayed on the counter, face down. No notifications. No need to check. The apartment smelled like food, not filters. I thought back to the keys on the counter, the photo that ended it, the sentence that drew a line. I didn't regret it. Boundaries don't need speeches. They need action. If someone wants to be single online, let them be single everywhere. If someone can't choose you publicly, they don't get to choose you privately. I didn't win anything by leaving. I just stopped losing myself. And that turned out to be enough.